Hello and welcome to Pulibrus Fireside Chats. Not as good as if the eyes, but hey, it's something. Now, you may be wondering, why talk about this? Aren't there a bunch of protests going on? Well, to be honest, there's not much I can continue to say about that particular topic. I mean, when there's developments in certain elements of it, I'll talk about them. But, I mean, most of what's going on now is just cops being bad. And, you know, there are a lot of other people who are talking about that more efficiently than I am, like Andrea of Above It All. Link to her show in the description. You know, a lot more people who are better equipped to talk about this, I guess. So, this is more of my forte. So, but, I mean, I guess we should start with one aspect about the protests. Let's get right into the news. This one is bad. Let me explain. Let's set the stage. There's a congressman named Eliot Engel who has been serving in Congress since 1989. Engel is mixed on certain issues. For example, for his entire political career, he was a co-sponsor of the Medicare for All bill. But he's also had a really terrible foreign policy, you know, being one of those, like, super pro-Israel people. So, leans a little bit progressive, but not entirely. Faux-aggressive light, I guess? I don't know. Between progressive and faux-aggressive, or something like that. Something in those lines, I don't really matter. The devil's in the details, and it's not really important relative to the story whatsoever. But one thing that is common is that he's gotten a fair share of controversies. For example, in 2009, Engel was reported to have been taking an annual tax credit on his Maryland residence for 10 years, despite the fact that he did not live in Maryland. He lived in New York, you know, the state that he represents. And then, when he's not living there, he's usually living in Washington, D.C. So, you know, taking those tax credits was wrong. But the most recent controversy arose with this recent George Floyd situation. You see, there was a press conference in Bronx following a lot of protests where a bunch of public officials, one being Ruben Diaz Jr., the Bronx Borough president, and Eliot Engel, they were there. Diaz was the one in charge of the conference and had a list of, you know, individuals who would get to speak, because not everybody would get to speak, because a lot of people showed up. Engel was like, hey, Diaz, can I speak? Can you get me to speak? Can you get me to speak? And this is what happened next.
Please bear with me. I'll announce everybody. I appreciate you coming. But then I got to then go down the list, and it's just too many folks here.
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care.
Say that again?
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care.
Don't do that to me. We're not going to do this. We're not going to politicize this. Everybody has a primary. You know? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You heard that right. Engel literally said, if I did not have a primary, I would not care. Even Diaz, who, I don't know exactly what side of the aisle he sits on, like the progressive wing or the corporatist wing, but, I mean, Diaz, he's a junior whose father was like a prominent individual as well in New York, so my guess is he's probably at least leans a little bit on the corporate side, so even he could not, he was like, no, dude, don't do that to me, don't do that to me, dude. And this set a bit of a chain of events in Congress, or at least in other forms of political, like, thing. a woman who is a progressive New York legislator had pulled her endorsement from Engel because that left so much of a sour taste in her mouth. And then AOC announced that she was endorsing Jamal Bowman, his progressive primary opponent, who just last week had another progressive running in the race drop out and endorse him because they're like, we all need to unite against Engel because Engel has got to go. And I like hearing that. You know, get all the progressives to unite. There are like a lot of people in a lot of different races that are like for example, I forget the race, but there's like one race where it's like a DSA endorsed candidate and a brand new Congress endorsed candidate running against each other. It's like, no. And then there's one candidate who's endorsed by like Cynthia Nixon, and it's like, no, don't run against each other, run with each other, unite. If we don't unite, we're not gonna win. How do you expect us to win if we're all running against each other? And there are like a lot of young people who are running against other progressives, like Gerald Nadler's district. There's a Yang Gang guy running against Lindsey Boylan. And I mean, Engel, again, he seemed good enough to at least be like, I'm gonna stay out of this. But, Jamal, he's a really good candidate. And yeah, it would be nice to see another AOC knocking New York corporatist off the shell. Yeah, let's go. Jamal Bowman, run for Congress. Let's get it done. Get it done, boys. And you want to know what's funny? Engel issued a statement trying to, clean the mess he made by saying, like, here's his literal statement. In the context of running for re-election, I thought it was important for the people who knew where I stand. That's why I asked to speak. Of course, I care deeply about what's happening in this country, and that's why I wanted to convey. I love the Bronx, grew up in the Bronx, and lived here all my life. I would not have tried to impose on the borough president if I didn't think it was important. That's not what you fucking said. You said, if I did not have a primary, I would not care. Because guess what? You want me to tell you this? If you legitimately cared, you wouldn't care if you were given 2 seconds to speak or a full hour. Or if you didn't speak at all and you just smiled and waved. You wouldn't care. Like, you think, like, I know this is like a tired thing to say, but like Bernie, he doesn't care if he gets the credit or not. He doesn't care at all. He didn't want to run for president in 2016. He wanted Liz to do it. He literally gave away bills to other Congress members, being like, no, this is too important. You do it. Just take it. Here's yours. Your bill. You do it. I don't care. I don't care if you get the credit. Go ahead. Do the bill. When, like, he didn't even be like, I was the best friend of Martin Luther King Jr. and I stood by his side. I happened to be in there and I was, doing the same thing. I was marching for it, not because I felt that it was going to get me fame and glory, but because it was the right thing to do. If it was the right thing to do, you wouldn't care, Elliot. I am so desperate to try and get Elliot in an interview. It's just confront about this. Like, dude, you don't. If you did care, you wouldn't care if you got a million years to speak or none. You wouldn't care. You'd just be like, I'm happy to help. But you don't care. You came there to get a picture of you on Wikipedia being like, Elliot Engel stands with Black Lives Matter protesters. Because of the fact that he knows Jamal is going to do better than him on this issue. And now you might say, well, I mean, are you, like, it's obvious why Jamal is kind of more of an authority figure on this particular issue. Who knows better about the struggle of a black man in New York than a black man in New York? Again, this has nothing to do with like, oh, if you're white, you can't stand in Black Lives Matter protests or whatever. That's irrelevant. But Jamal, he knows the systemic racism because I would assume at least partially he's experienced it. Like, I mean, I guarantee you, if you can go on his like Twitter and stuff, and he'll like talk to you about like stories about like thing. I think he was one of the figures who literally was talking about how like, yeah, I was involved in the stop and frisk thing because, you know, I was a black guy in New York. Yeah, Jamal, let's go. Jamal Bowman 2020. Let's go. Get him in the seat. Kick Angle out. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna give you another reason why you shouldn't support Angle. Like I was never gonna support Angle, but I was like, I'll stay out of it. Jamal, he's got good policies, but he's not really running on anything that Elliott is running against. Elliott supports Medicare for All. You can't really run against him on the platform Medicare for All. Call me on foreign policy, then we'll talk. Jamal lays out foreign policy? Yeah, got my backing, 100%. But here's another thing. AOC endorsed Jamal. You know who's endorsing Elliott now? Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. I think we can all agree. Out. Bye-bye, Elliott. Oh yeah, while we're at it, Shahid replaced Nancy. Let's get men in color in office. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. I've been talking about this one for a long time because this is relatively important and my forte. Let's talk about North Carolina. Roy Cooper tells RNC a full-scale convention is very unlikely. After weeks of tense correspondence between the Republican National Convention organizers and North Carolina Democrat Governor Roy Cooper about the size and scope of the party's planned convention in August, Cooper, on Tuesday, finally told the GOP he would not provide the guarantee that the President Donald Trump has demanded. And now Trump is trying to get the convention pulled from North Carolina. Now, this is a very, very bad move. You could make the arguments that it's a bad move for either of these guys. Let me explain. Because this is North Carolina. I kind of know what's going on here. North Carolina is pretty notable for its swing status. Every couple of years we change stuff up. You know, sometimes the senators, they're blue, sometimes they're red. Sometimes their state's blue, sometimes it's red. Sometimes, you know, we got a little bit of both. And 2020 in North Carolina is a pretty notable thing because all around these elections, there's pretty notable things. Like, for example, we just redrew the districts, so now three representatives dropped out of running for re-election because they just cannot win in their districts anymore. 3 Republicans, so these are possibly 3 more Democrat seats. So it'll be more of an even split in the House. And, you know, we have a Senate seat that's up for grabs that, like, is really close as well. The presidential election is really close as well, too. And the gubernatorial seat, I'll be honest, Roy's sitting a little easy. I don't think Roy should be sitting too easy because his opponent is kind of they picked a good choice to run against him. Dan Forrest, the lieutenant governor. He's I don't know if he'll necessarily win come November. Like, my money would probably be on Roy, but you know, I wouldn't necessarily say Roy has a shoo-in. Like, I mean, if you know anything, North Carolina, we literally just had our, like, the last gubernatorial election was, like, decimal points apart. So, it is possible that, you know, same thing could happen in this election. But, I mean, honestly, of all of them, Roy seems to be sitting the most comfortably. Now, Trump, it seems that he's getting his optics mixed up. Because a lot of people have speculated he's trying to use this, you know, election to help Dan, like, to use this, not election, but, like, this debacle to try and help Dan Forrest. Because Forrest is kind of using this as like a huge campaign rally. Like, oh, our Democrat governor, Roy Cooper, is making the Republicans move to another state. It should be the great state of North Carolina because blah, blah, blah. Now, the problem is, Roy doesn't appear to be budging. Like, he's not going to budge because, I mean, you're picking the wrong race to help. Because, you know, that's not going to help Dan Forrest at all. They're going to be like, because, believe it or not, I mean, remember, North Carolina's mixed. But Roy is still relatively popular. People still like Roy. They like how he handled the coronavirus. Like, I mean, they argue that he's probably done it in the best way most governors have. So, yeah, they're pretty down for Roy. In fact, many political scientists and stuff have speculated that even people who are going to be diehard Trump supporters and diehard Tom Tillis supporters are going to vote for Roy Cooper come the gubernatorial race because, you know, why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how a lot of North Carolinian voters are sometimes. They're just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, Democrat governor and Republican senator? Okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Republican governor and Democratic senator? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, well, they'll usually... There's a lot of split ticket in North Carolina. I might have a split ticket too, but just not with any Republicans, if you catch my drift. But, like, there's really no immediate threat of Roy Cooper losing the gubernatorial race. The actual threat is Tom Tillis losing the Senate seat. And guess what? You see, when many people... moving this district, like moving this convention away from North Carolina, is not going to be helping Tommy Boy over here. Because I guarantee you, they're going to have Tom Tillis like make a rousing speech at the Republican convention, and they're going to be like, oh, this is our good friend in North Carolina. We gotta help our old boy down in North Carolina. And they were gonna be like campaign ads about Tom being like this pro-Trump person. Because, I mean, Tom Tillis was really weak. He's a weak senator. He nearly lost the primary because he didn't suck Trump's dick hard enough. He's repented on that now. He gave Trump a slight teensy-weensy criticism. And then they were like, and then Garland Tucker showed up and was like, you know, I got those big DSLs for Trump, if you get to my drift. And I mean, like, that's what happened. He could have won, but Garland Tucker dropped out, so Tillis just won. And plus, Tillis just had Trump's seal of approval from the get-go. Because, you know, Trump doesn't really care. He's just like, yeah, my party wins, me win. Like, Tillis is, again, pretty weak. And this is what they were going to use for. They were going to use this as, like, a campaign ad. But they can't necessarily do that when it's in another state. They might say, well, I mean, what matters if it's in another state or not? Why not just have him say the speech anyways? Home turf advantage. They're doing it on Tom's homeland. Like, Tom could be like, look at this great state of North Carolina and all these people who showed up. They're going to have, like, this is what they were going to do. And Trump is just going to throw it away. Like, Tom is hearing all this and is like, hey, Donnie, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I need this. I'm going to lose to Cam Cunningham, dude. I'm going to lose to him. The polls trying to losing to him. You can't do this to me, Trump. You can't do this to me, Donnie boy. Like, seriously. Like, I mean, Tillis is just physically weak, though. Like, he had a heart attack not that long ago. Cal Cunningham, he ain't got a heart attack no time soon. You don't think? I don't even like Cal Cunningham that much. Like, I mean, at all, really. But he's winning. The polls show him in decent winning status. So, yeah, I mean, Trump's making a bad idea, like a bad move. I mean, a good move for me. I don't get the coronavirus, but a bad move for the GOP. This is a bad move. Is Trump, like, isn't like the Democrats when they ran Joe Biden. Like, are you trying to lose? Alright then. Speaking of losing, Hickenlooper. John Hickenlooper violated an ethics law not that long ago. Yeah, and there was this whole debacle because he was set to making a court date, but he didn't show up to the court date, which made people go like, what the fuck? Here's what happened. John Hickenlooper violated Colorado ethics law as governor by accepting a private jet flight to an official event and by receiving benefits he didn't pay for at a meeting for government, business, and financial leaders in Italy. The Colorado Independent Ethics Commission dismissed 4 of the complaints against Hickenlooper that were filed by a conservative group led by former Republican Colorado House Speaker. It is scheduled for a June 12th hearing to discuss possible fines for the violation, as well as for a contempt order it issued with Hickenlooper ignored a subpoena to appear on its hearing on Tuesday. Hickenlooper, who has the backing of the National Democrats, has long denied the charges as politically motivated, but his absence Thursday drew fire from his Democratic primary opponent, former House Speaker Andrew Romanov, as well as national Republicans seeking to defend the U.S. Senator Cory Gardner's seat in November. We fully expect the special interests who have exploited this process to continue to mislead Coloradans with negative attacks because they know John Hickenlooper will be an independent voice in the U.S. Senate, Hickenlooper campaign spokeswoman Melissa Miller said in a statement Friday. He is guilty of shrugging off the state's ethics rules and violating trust taxpayers have placed to him as governor, says Joanna Rodriguez, as Speaker of National Republican Senatorial Committee, which plans to spend millions of dollars to defend Gardner's seat. Romanov issued a statement saying Republicans' outrage is hard to stomach, but it wasn't the GOP that found Mr. Hickenlooper in contempt or in violation of the state constitution, Romanov said. The commission's message is clear and Coloradans agree. No one is above the law. Okay, so, believe it or not, John Hickenlooper's corrupt. Whoa! That was... I would never have expected. This is unorthodox. A Democrat corrupt? I would never hear such a thing. Yeah, but in all seriousness, yeah, this is kind of surprising. When you run as a Republican with a Democrat next to your, with the D next to your name, believe it or not, you act like a Republican. And, like, a lot of people keep saying, like, oh, Hickenlooper's gonna win. Like, we need to back him because Hickenlooper's the only person to win. Like, it's the same argument. Like, oh, safe seat. We need a safe, moderate bet so he can win over, the people of Colorado. When, nah, we don't necessarily need that anymore. Like, I mean, you know what Colorado is now, right? Like, Hickenlooper was the red pill to Democrats. Think about it. Their governor was, for 8 years, was like John Hickenlooper. Now it's Jared Polis. Polis is, like, pretty far to the left. He's like universal healthcare supporting gay man. They don't need moderate centrist John Hickenlooper to be the guy. Now, I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying that Hickenlooper would lose in a general election against Cory Gardner. Far from it. He could win. And Andrew Romanov could win. Because, believe it or not, this seat is just expected to flip no matter who the Democratic nominee is. They've done polls with, like, just generic Democrats. Gardner loses. And, I mean, each one just has him lose against whoever the Democratic nominee is. They've never done head-on-head polls with Romanov and Romanov and Gardner because, a second Hickenlooper entered the race, they're literally just like, okay, everyone else just lost. But no, Romanov can pull it off. Romanov, he won the assembly and the convention. he's doing well. And we, like, even people in Colorado have told me, like, yeah, I mean, Romanov could win. I mean, it probably wouldn't be necessarily as big as a, gap as Hickenlooper. Like, I mean, Hickenlooper just has a bit more name recognition in Colorado than Romanov. But Romanov has name recognition, too. Romanov is a former Colorado Speaker of the House, and was also the, let's see, he ran for Senate a couple of times, and ran for House. He's well known in Colorado, and he's been well known as, like, the lefty in Colorado. And it's just him and Hickenlooper. So, yeah, Romanov 2020. Romanov, we need to get this done. Now, time for this big news story. I know this has been a long time coming, and this is a really big news story. But Joe Biden has formally clinched the Democratic Party's nomination for president. He has finally secured the necessary amount of delegates to win the nomination of the Democratic Party. I know it's been a long, hard-fought primary, and we were on the edge of our seats wondering if Rocky De La Fuente III could pull it off. But the match has been done. It's Biden. Biden is now the Democratic nominee. In all seriousness, I only mentioned it because it's just, yeah, this happened. Like, it was on Twitter. Like, it was trending on Twitter. Like, Biden has formally clinched the Democratic nomination. And it's like, yeah, we kind of already expected that. You literally could have canceled the election, and the same results would have happened. Biden would have won to the end. Seriously. It doesn't matter anymore. Let's move on. Well, I mean, I'm not going to move on from that because the main topic of this video, but first we're going to have to go to the smaller Canada today. Perry Caravello, an American actor and comedian, best known for his starring role in the 2003 movie Wind City Heat. He is running on a very, very interesting platform. Build a wall across the Canada-US border. Provide free universal health care. Legalize medical marijuana. Abolish gay marriage and criminalize homosexuality. And turn San Clemente Island into a gay prison. I don't know if that's a joke or not, but since he's a comedian, it's fairly likely. But, why not mention it anyways? Because it's just weird. Okay, so now that Perry's out of the way, now we're going to move on to the main topic of this video. The big question. The big debacle. I'm seeing lefties all across the world debate this topic. Voting for Joe. Yes or no? Like, why should, Bernie or Bus vote Joe, whatever. And I'm seeing a lot of people with varying opinions. Now, the opinion that I'm seeing a lot of that is just strange for me is the opinion of riding with Biden. And the issue is weird for a lot of reasons. Because this viewpoint comes from people who are noticeably further to the left than me. Like Vosh and Andrea from Above It All. They have the viewpoint of vote Biden. Now, I say no. I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I mean, I know you might say well, I mean, it's still pretty far to the election. You could still possibly vote for Joe Biden. Maybe, but, I mean, 9 times out of 10, or 99.9% of the time, I'm more than likely not going to vote Joe. I mean, let's just be clear. Why would I vote for Joe Biden? Now, there are many reasons. There are a lot of people who have like varying degrees of debate and such on this. One of the big issues many people pull out is like accelerationism. Like, I hear Vosh and Andrea like say this all the time, like accelerationism. Like, oh, I hate accelerationism. This is a stupid idea, like accelerationism. And it's like, no, I'm not an accelerationist. The idea of the accelerationism is like, you put the worst candidate in so that you force the people to do the revolution faster or some crap like that. And it's like, no, I'm not voting for Howie Hawkins or whoever the Green Party nominates because of that. That's stupid. But that's one of the main arguments that they use. Like accelerationism. Because that's the only argument they could debunk. Now, I mean, of course, some have made decent points. But my issue is when they bring up the BS points. One of the biggest ones I hate is like this. The point of like, oh, if you are not voting for Joe Biden, you are voting for Donald Trump. That's a point that corporate Democrats make. Why are you making this point? This is a point that literally the Nancy Pelosi's and people make. A vote for blank is a vote for blank. No. Let me tell you this. A vote for Howie Hawkins is a vote for Howie Hawkins. A vote for George Jorgensen is a vote for George Jorgensen. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Donald Trump. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Joe Biden, etc., etc. One thing I hear a lot of people talk about is like this funny juxtaposition, like, oh, a vote for Howie Hawkins is a vote for Donald Trump. Well, then by definition, it's also a vote for Joe Biden because you're not voting for Donald Trump either. It's a dumb point, but it's like, what? Like, if you make that point, you're dumb. If that's vote shaming. You're literally shaming someone for like voting the way they want. And like, there's like this weird argument of like debating over this, and it's like, I mean, is it really something like some people have the argument of like, oh, we need to debate on the strategy and stuff of this, and it's like some people are just like, no, I'm just voting for it for the sake of voting for the candidate I want to vote for. And I kind of have a bit of both. Now, I mean, of course, my viewpoint for voting is simple. Of the candidates given to me in this voting booth that I have chosen to go into, will I vote? Who will I vote for? I will vote for the person who aligns with me the closest. That is just simple facts. I go into the voting booth on November 3rd. I look at all my options. See, it's like, oh, Hawkins is on the ballot as a presidential candidate. I will vote for Howie Hawkins. And whoever aligns with me more on down the ballot races, I'll also vote for them. But if Howie was not on the ballot, or if the Green Party itself was not on the ballot, I wouldn't vote no. I would stay home. Because I don't want Joe Biden to be president. I don't want Donald Trump to be president. Of the options given to me, I want Howie Hawkins to be president, ergo, I would vote for him. To quote Eugene Debs, I would rather vote against slavery and fail than vote for slavery and succeed. Plus, I doubt any of the Green Party candidates running for president are rapists. No. You're literally voting for a rapist to be put in power. Now, again, you might say, the most reasonable argument that they can give me, that I can at least be like, okay, fine, whatever, is them saying like, oh, I'm just doing this for damage control. Okay, fine. But there are people, they try to use this as like, no, we need to do this. Because, with Joe Biden, we can do this, and this. And it's like, no, like, for example, Vosh states, like, oh, with Biden, we have an easier kickoff to the revolution. And it's like, no? What? like, Vosh, you seriously believe that if Joe Biden, if he were tasked for, like, if he has a lot more interest, well, not more, but, like, the same amount of interest in protecting the working and, like, the top class, then, like, he has the same amount of, what's the words? Incentive to protect the top class in a revolution. And he, like, I mean, this is, like, way off topic, or not exactly off topic, but, like, he always chooses to misrepresent the view. Like, not just Fox, but, like, other people who espouse this view. He chooses to misrepresent the people. Like, for example, he keeps saying, like, well, I got Kyle Kalinske to admit, like, 2 days ago that there's a difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And it's like, but no, are you stupid? Kyle has been saying over and over again, like, there's differences. He said that Hillary Clinton would be better than Donald Trump. But he says, like, fundamentally, the differences are, like, not on the issues that are important, aren't, like, important enough. Like, and another thing he says, like, the concessions. What concessions? I don't see them. Do you? He literally said, like, oh, the lowering of the Medicare age, that was a concession. Wow. I can now have Medicare when I'm 60 instead of 65. Amazing. I mean, Hillary lowered it by 15 years to appease Bernie supporters. And her free college plan was way better than Biden's idea of, like, oh, we'll put free college in teensy-weensy bit of places. But, look, see, this is the thing. My biggest point for all of this, and for all these people who say, like, oh, we need to vote for Joe, it's like, you're giving yourself away. Like, Biden has given up, like, pretty much no big concessions, and yet, you already have pledged to vote for him. It's like, and the reason why this is bad is because you fundamentally given away any bargaining power you had. Now you might say, well, I mean, no, we need to do this week, but Lawrence O'Donnell said very clearly in the 2006 documentary, An Unreasonable Man, which detailed Ralph Nader's candidacy, the Democrats, they don't have to listen to the left at all because you're going to vote for them anyways. And that's true. They do not give a fuck about you because Democrats learned long ago that they could do whatever they want to leftists and you'll still turn out to vote for them. The Democrats, they literally rigged the primaries of multiple left-wing challengers through various means, and they still turned out to vote for them. In 1952, S.S. Kefauver, progressive, who hated the Democratic establishment, won the primaries. They literally went, we're going to nominate someone who wasn't even running for president. 1916, Jim McCarthy. He beats, he has a similar story with Kefauver. Team runs, and they're like, we're going to nominate someone else. We're going to nominate the VP. Why? No, we just don't like you. We just don't like you, Eugene. 1972, George McGovern. He literally won the Democratic nomination. They're like, no, we're going to support Nixon. High-profile Democrats literally were like, no, we're going to support Nixon now. You're too far left, George. Media smeared Jesse Jackson as this, he's not a serious candidate at all because he's black. Kucinich was seen as a stupid, he's a super far left crazy guy. He's a big Dumbo. Bernie, we all know what's going on with Bernie. But they can do any of that, and you'll still have a chance to vote for them. There's a question I would legitimately like to ask any single one of these guys. 2024, who are you voting for? Just 2024, who are you voting for? You voting for the Democrat? You voting for the Republican? You voting for the Green? And no, and if they say Democrat, well, it stinks for them, because when you vote lesser of two evils, you're just kicking the bucket to be more evil down the line. Lesser of two evils used to be someone who's like a slight war hawk versus someone who's a complete war hawk. And pretty soon, it ain't gonna be that way no more. In 2016, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, think about it. We had the queen of warmongers running against a TV show host who said that he would bomb the shit out of Middle Easterners' families. But you gotta vote Democrat. Biden doesn't have to care about anything you do. Like, in Cenk Uygur, he likes to say, like, oh, we'll vote for these people now, but we'll rally against them on day one. It's like, yeah, but you've given him the only thing he cares about. Biden only cares about your vote. If you're gonna vote for him, he doesn't give a shit. Let me give you an example that at least somewhat proves my point. During the 2018 midterms, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Kara Eastman, I think, and like people like Ojeda, Max Rose, Jared Golden, and like Jeff Van Drew, all these people who were running for like Congress were saying that they would not vote for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. For various reasons. They both agreed that Nancy Pelosi was part of the political establishment, but the moderates were also claiming that she was way too far left and can't get anything done, and we need to bring things to the middle. Whereas the lefties were saying, she capitulates to Republicans too much. She can't really be an effective leader if she's going to just capitulate. Not all of them won, but of the ones who did win, there were still whispers of them not supporting Nancy. Now, all of a sudden, the insurgent lefties, like for the Rashidas and Ilhans and the AOCs, they kind of started getting quieter. But the so-called moderate Democrats like Golden, Rose, a couple of the other people, they started getting louder and louder with their opposition to Nancy. And these guys were being a lot more, like, stringent. Like, oh, will there be any reason that you vote for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker? And they're like, no, there is literally nothing Nancy Pelosi can do to convince me to vote for Speaker. I don't think she's going to be a good Speaker of the House, and we need someone new. And there were talks of people who were, to run against Nancy Pelosi. Now, we might all remember the online left was trying to get Barbara Lee to run, but here's the thing. Barbara Lee never considered running for House Speaker. What actually happened was the moderates started whispering, maybe we should get Seth Moulton to run. Oh, maybe we should get Tim Ryan to run. Why not Marcia Fudge to run against her? All of a sudden, all these moderates started popping up actually thinking of challenging Nancy Pelosi for speakership. And one of them actually has experience challenging Nancy Pelosi to be House Dem leader, Tim Ryan. So, there's actually precedent there. Meanwhile, House progressives, they start saying a different tune. Now they're saying that they're proud to endorse Pelosi for Speaker. And now people like Grijalva have a committee position here too. Nancy Pelosi promises that she'll hold hearings on Medicare for all. Seems interesting. Day comes for the Pelosi vote. All of the House Democrats that were in the Progressive Caucus capitulated. Like, the House Progressives, like the Buchanans, the Garcias, the AOCs, the Ilhans, the Rashidas, the Presleys, they all voted for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. And granted, some of the moderates, moderate, quote-unquote, they voted for Pelosi too. But not Abigail Spanberger, not Mikey Sherrill, not Jared Golden, not Joe Cunningham, not Jeff Van Drew, not Jim Cooper, not Elisa Stolkin, not Jason Crow, not Max Rose, not Kathleen Rice, not Anthony Brindisi, not Kurt Schrader, not Connor Lamb, not Ron Kind, not Ben McAdams. They all voted for someone else. Well, I mean, actually, scratch that. Not even Van Drew didn't vote for anybody. Like, I mean, a couple of them didn't vote for no preference, but, like, Jeff Van Drew, when he was tasked to vote for Speaker, he literally said no. Like, during the roll call, it was like, Van Drew, oh. Like, seriously, they all voted for someone else. Or, like they at least stood together and saying, like, we're not voting for Nancy Pelosi. So, progressives showed party unity and bent the knee to Pelosi. Meanwhile, the moderates again, quote unquote, showed, instringent, like, oh, we hate you, Nancy. You're a terrible leader. We hate you. Go fuck yourself. The first bill to get passed in the 116th Congress is PAYGO, a bill that kneecaps progressive policy proposals like the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. Nancy did not bend the knee to the progressives who actually helped her because they gave her the only thing she cared about. And remember, she's also been rallying against these guys. She's been calling out AOC and being like, AOC, you stink. Ilhan, you're an anti-Semite. Because they bent the knee and gave her what she wanted without really getting anything out of the deal first. It's this idea of like, we need to show party unity. But they don't care about unity when you are the one getting screwed. Like, inevitably, Democrats don't care about you because you're giving them what they want. And without even getting a single concession. Like, if these guys were rallied behind Joe Biden and saying, like, hey, maybe, just maybe, we don't vote for Joe unless he adherently says, here's one policy, pick one, just one of my policy proposals, and promise me you'll do that. Okay? Like, at least with that, you would have gotten something out of the deal. But no, you're just telling me to try and vote for Joe, even though I've gotten nothing. He's giving me nothing. And I don't want to hear people saying, like, oh, you're just mad that Bernie lost. I made a comprehensive list of people I would have been okay voting for should they be the Democratic nominee. Bernie, Tulsi, Yang, Warren, Inslee, de Blasio, Williamson, like literally Inslee, because I would have gotten the Green New Deal out of that. I would have gotten the Green New Deal at least. I have no faith that Joe's going to fight for anything that I want. Now again, here's the thing. If you want to vote for Joe because you want to do damage control, that's fine. You can do that. But I believe that there needs to be a reason for me to vote for him. He needs to give me an actual reason to vote for him. Not just, oh, you gotta vote for me because Tom's bad. Or, he could bribe me. That works too. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified of future video when it comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, join my Discord, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.